humiliated on worldwide television. During the final duel of American football between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, Donald Trump made an appearance at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans and received an unforgettable welcome. The crowd gathered in the venue booed the U.S. president relentlessly. Likewise, the moment Trump appeared waving during the national anthem, the booing was absolute. This episode was not just a simple show of rejection, but a symptom of deep discontent. Trump's divisive politics, marked by his disdain for minorities, inflammatory rhetoric, and climate change denialism, has left an indelible mark on society, not only in the U.S., but also across the broader region. It wasn't just the Super Bowl. It was the echo of a fractured nation condemning him publicly. The Caesars Superdome in New Orleans became the epicenter not only of the clash between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, but also of a politically and socially significant moment. Amid the frenzy of the most-watched sporting event of the year, Trump's presence generated an immediate, massive, and resounding reaction, an overwhelming wave of boos that reverberated through every corner of the stadium, reflecting the profound rejection that a significant portion of the American people feel toward him and his policies. Early in the day, the 78-year-old president had spent the morning in Palm Beach, Florida, enjoying a round of golf with Tiger Woods and his son, Charlie Woods, an act that could have been seen as a PR strategy to soften his arrival at the Super Bowl. Hours later, Trump arrived at the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans, dressed in an impeccable blue suit and his signature red tie, a symbol of his political identity and an attempt to project power. However, neither his elegant attire nor his calculated staging was enough to contain the public's reaction. The booing was deafening, inescapable, a blow to his ego in one of the most high-impact media stages in the world. Witnesses were clear. They just booed Trump big time. "And I love it," exclaimed a fan from the stadium. On social media, reactions were immediate. Hundreds of videos went viral, showing the massive rejection his presence generated at the event. "The entire bar booed Trump when he appeared on screen," noted another spectator. The disapproval echoed in bars, homes, and gathering places across the country. It was evident that the discontent was not exclusive to the Superdome, but rather a reflection of a national and even international sentiment. The peak moment arrived during the national anthem, in an event where patriotism is exalted and celebrated, where respect for national symbols is almost obligatory. The public did not hesitate to show their disdain. When cameras focused on Trump waving, the booing was absolute. What should have been a moment of solemnity and unity turned into a massive act of protest against one of the most polarizing figures in contemporary U.S. history. The Super Bowl is not just a sporting event. It is a premier political and social showcase. The public's reaction to Trump laid bare the deep fractures in American society, divisions that his administration exacerbated through policies rejected not only at home but also across Latin America. His aggressive and unilateral approach to immigration, his rhetoric of contempt toward neighboring nations, and his protectionist economic measures have been perceived as direct attacks on the so-called Patria Grande, Great Homeland. One of the most contentious points has been his immigration policy. From the moment he took office, Trump pushed for the construction of a border wall financed with U.S. taxpayer money, under the pretext of combating drug trafficking and illegal immigration. In reality, this measure did not solve the problem, but rather created a humanitarian crisis at the border. Families separated, children locked in cages, massive raids, and record-breaking deportations became the norm. The image of a government criminalizing immigrants contrasted with the reality of a nation built on the labor of people from all over the world. The rejection of Trump at the Super Bowl can also be interpreted as an expression of disdain for his stance toward regional countries. In recent months, relations with Mexico and Colombia have been particularly tense. President Claudia Sheinbaum has outright rejected the labeling of extremist Mexican groups as criminals, arguing that such labels do not solve the issue, but rather increase the criminalization of innocent citizens. In Colombia, President Gustavo Petro has resisted pressure from Washington following the imposition of punitive tariffs on Colombian products in retaliation for the country's refusal to accept deportation flights. In Venezuela, sanctions imposed by the Trump administration have exacerbated the economic crisis, limiting access to essential goods and worsening the population's suffering. Although the U.S. government justified these measures as a strategy to weaken Nicolas Maduro's regime, various reports indicate that the civilian population has been the most affected. Even international organizations have warned about the negative impact of these sanctions on Venezuelans' human rights. The Super Bowl, in this context, became a reflection of the widespread disapproval toward Trump and what he represents. It was not merely a spontaneous audience reaction, but rather an expression of deeper discontent that transcends the sports world. Trump's era is far from being glorified, and his return to public life continues to generate rejection across broad sectors of society. The media impact of this episode will be lasting. The images of Trump being booed at one of the most important events of the year are already circulating worldwide, accompanied by headlines highlighting his unpopularity. His communication team will try to downplay the damage, arguing that there was also applause and support among attendees. However, the resounding boos have left an indelible mark on the collective memory. This episode is also a reminder to Latin America that the fight for self-determination and mutual respect cannot yield to the pressures of foreign powers seeking to impose their agenda. The Patria Grande stands firm, and the public's reaction at the Super Bowl is a sign of rejection of oppressive policies. While the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles fought for the championship on the field, another battle played out in the stands, one that reflected the pulse of a nation, and by extension, a continent that continues to resist and raise its voice against injustice. The resounding boos directed at Donald Trump during the Super Bowl were more than just a moment of public disapproval. They symbolized the deep divisions within American society and the widespread rejection of his policies, both domestically and internationally. This event served as a powerful reminder that his leadership, marked by controversy, polarizing rhetoric, and aggressive policies, continues to spark strong reactions. As the world watched one of the most-watched sporting events of the year, it became clear that Trump's legacy remains a subject of intense debate, with many unwilling to overlook the consequences of his actions. What do you think about this public reaction to Trump? Do you see it as a sign of a divided nation, or do you believe it was just a momentary outburst? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more in-depth analysis of political and social events shaping the world today.